All right, I'm doing good as well. I kept them inside today. They were a little disappointed because they wanted to go out, but we had a little rain, and so the field was a little soft. So we stayed inside, for the walkthrough, and that was a nice little change of pace. But I think their attitudes are good. Coming off yesterday, where we worked against Arizona, and I thought that was a good day's work on both sides of the ball. Both teams and they worked hard and they worked very well against each other. So that was encouraging there. On my injury front, there's no changes on the injury front. The same guys who have not been practicing probably will not practice this afternoon. And this afternoon we are going to practice and try to get a little bit better because it's a couple of days before the game and it's still training camp. So that's what we're going to do. But otherwise, I feel decent going into the game and hope I feel as well after the game. With that, I'll open it up.
How much do you intend to play the starters?
Well, what I told them was this. I told them be ready to play however long I needed them. I didn't know how long that might be, and I told them the only consideration would be that if there's someone who might have a little nagging injury or something like that, I might take that into consideration and not give them as much playing time. But I want them to get ready to play. I don't want them going into the game thinking, okay, I'm going to come out after the first quarter or I'm going to play a series. All right, just be ready to play, and then we'll see how long it is.
At what point do you make a decision on some of your injured guys like Bannon, who's missing time, and whether or not they're going to be able to go? Can they practice today, or is it maybe tomorrow after the walkthrough?
Well, when the trainer tells me that they can practice, then they'll practice. But if you don't practice, it's hard to play in the game, because you've missed that time. So when the trainer says these guys can practice, then we'll practice them. And then if they cannot practice before the game, chances of them playing in the game are not great.
What about your quarterback rotation? Quinn would be the second guy in?
Yes.
And the rest for Stanzi, or are you going to get the other guys some more?
Well, I told them I'm going to try to play everybody, but that you just never know how the game is going to go, how many plays guys are going to get or anything like that. So if I can play everybody, I will. If not, then guys will have to wait till next week.
Are you going to switch that quarterback? You said you had Quinn number 2 because he's the guy you wanted to see at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
You switch that next week? Will Stanzi be the guy you want to see number 2 next week?
Well, there's a possibility. Just depends on how it goes this week, I'm sure. And then when you talk about evaluating guys, if the competition is close, then I think that's what you kind of need to do to see guys in game situations.
Is your plan right now to get those 2 guys about the same amount of work in the preseason?
Well, the plan is to evaluate them and see who can take the step forward. And then if a guy takes a step forward and we feel like that he's going to continue to go forward, then you continue with him.
So you'd give him more just to get him ready?
Sure.
How does Stanzi progress through the course of the training camp so far?
He's made nice progression. He's been competing, and that's why we don't know exactly who the number 2 is right now, because there's good competition going on between the 2 guys.
Has he grasped the offense the way you wanted him to?
Well, he's making progress at that, yes. Is he perfect? No. There's nobody that's perfect.
Coach Wisenhunt yesterday talked about, they asked him about what difference it makes on Friday having gone up against the other team in some practice situations. How do you see your guys, maybe reacting to having seen these guys already, this week? Was there some things where you told them to hold back some stuff, don't show them everything you have to be more competitive on Friday?
No, the thing that I'm interested in and I'm concerned about are our fundamentals and our techniques. And if we can get that done and do it at a good level. And that's what I told them, and that's how I'm going to call the game on Friday. We're going to be basic and see if we can be fundamentally sound and do the things that I know that you need to do on a consistent basis to have a chance to win.
That approach it. Do you go for a win in an exhibition game, or do you have a list of things offensively and defensively. We want to try this in our base and kind of check that list off as you go.
Well, I think you always try to go for a win, but not at all cost in the preseason.
How's Moyaki? Is he back fully healthy and will he be integrated with the first team throughout?
Well, you know what? He's making good progress coming back, and we've been giving him reps, and he's been making plays in practice. And I think that we will continue to monitor his reps until we feel like that he's good to go all the time, you know. But he's making good progress. And so I think that he'll be okay versus Atlanta.
Has Dontari met your expectations so far for what going into camp at this point?
My rookie expectations, yes.
What's he need to work on the most?
A lot. He needs to work on technique. He needs to work on understanding the system. He needs to get the calls correct all the time. And so, you know, he's got a ways to go.
You said last week that Friday, the first preseason game, is going to be the first real time that they're tackling to the ground and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
You're expecting some missed tackles. So is it understood? Is it excused when and if that does happen coming up on Friday?
It's not excused. You know, on defense, your job is to tackle. So tackle. Even though that we don't tackle in practice, your job is to tackle, so you tackle, you know.
Will that approach continue after this game, or when you come back and they tackle, will there be some live segments when you get back to practice, or just kind of to be determined?
All right, let me ask you this, okay? If I tackle Jamal Charles and he gets hurt, then you're going to blame me for tackling, okay? So I'm going to use my best judgment to try to get those guys in position to tackle and make plays and try to keep my guys as healthy as I can, you know, so that I can get them to the regular season and we're able to play at a good level. I mean, everybody in the NFL, they have the same problem, you know, trying to keep guys healthy and how to practice and get work done without exposing your guys to possible injury.
We're also going to blame you if your guys miss some tackles Friday night.
Of course. Okay, yes. Hey, I knew that I would be blamed as soon as I took this job.
What do you think about the role of being defensive coordinator and head coach? Is it like you expected, or has it been a challenge having to do both sides?
Well, it's not as easy as being only a coordinator, you know. But I think it's going along pretty good. I've got good help, and that's the thing that allows me to try to take on both roles. You know, Emmett Thomas and Gary Gibbs and Anthony Pleasant and Adam Zimmer, Otis Smith, those guys do a tremendous job, and I got a lot of confidence and faith in them that if I'm not there, that they can get done what I want done.
Who kind of takes over the defense when you're over there looking at the offense? Who kind of fills that role of what you do with the defense?
No, we are a team, and that's why I wanted to keep that team together. There's input from everybody in that room, and they do a good job of working well together.
Any concerns of the refs on Friday night, the inexperienced refs? Any concerns on that going into that game?
No, the refs are the refs, you know, and they call what they see, and sometimes it's right and sometimes it's not, and we live with it.
I want to ask about backup center Rob Bruggeman. What have you seen out of him in camp, and where do you think he might fit in as your camp progresses?
Well, you know, he has been working in camp at somewhat of a handicap because he's had a finger issue, and he's been trying to play with a cast on it, to his credit, as a matter of fact. But he's a tough guy, and he'll fight you, and he's making decent progress as far as learning the system and being able to compete for a job. And so once we get him into the game, we'll see how he does, and then I think that we'll go from there.
Is he a center guard combo kind of player?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's one of the things. You know, we're working him at center, but he can also play the guard. And like I mentioned yesterday, I believe it was, if you got those kind of players, it gives you a little bit more flexibility, and it helps the roster.
Have you and your staff pondered, for lack of a better term, maybe having some JV plays after practice? Those young guys who get fewer snaps, leave them on the field, let everybody go out.
You know what? We have thought about that. But the issue that I have in trying to get that done is the time constraint that we're working under. You know, there's a 3-hour max for one practice, and then that means you can only have an hour for the walkthrough. And then I don't want to get to the point where it's a drudgery. You know, a 3-hour practice is a long practice, and they begin to wear down, and their focus is not what it needs to be. So we're out there about 2 hours and 20 minutes right now, and they've been working good. They have a good tempo. They have a good attitude, and I like that about them. And then we still have to go get something to eat. We still have special teams meetings. We meet at night. So to have a JV practice, then I've got to tell those other guys, you guys take some time off so that I can practice with the JV. And then your numbers are going to be limited, and then what kind of work are you going to get done? And, so you go through all of that. And I've chosen to try to get the bulk of the team ready with the time that I have available.
So the math, you have 4 hours a day that can be on the field?
4 hour max, yes.
All right.